I think that at this stage of the game, it is pretty safe to say that Joe Biden's presidency is now a theater of the absurd. Have a look at the man arriving in Israel a couple of days ago. He appeared to need help just staying on the red carpet. And then he got confused and tried to, I think, go off with a female military officer. Now, some commentators went a little over the top and suggested the president was actually sleazing onto the woman, but frankly, I wonder if he thought she was just a nurse there to take him to go get a scoop of ice cream. Now, it's easy to have a chuckle about this, but in fact, his doddering incompetence has serious consequences. We saw it just this week with the news that U.S. inflation hit a 40-year high of 9.1%, higher than was expected, and a sign that just maybe tipping trillions of dollars in stimulus into the economy might not have been such a bright idea after all. No wonder most Americans think the U.S. is in actual full-blown recession. And even worse than the headline inflation number are the underlying figures for some of the staple products Americans need to survive. Overall food inflation up more than 10%, chicken up 18.6%, milk up 16.4%, and eggs up a whopping 33.1%. Petrol and fuel oil to drive cars and heat homes are also up too. And that, together with rising crime, homelessness, dysfunction, global chaos. And it is no wonder that not only are Joe Biden's approval ratings in the toilet, but that nearly 2 out of 3, 64% of Democrat voters say they want someone else to run for the White House in 2024. Now, we're going to talk about this more later in the show, but you can already see the Democrats trying to work out who they can put up. But the problem is, they don't have a very deep bench to fall back on, because for 20 years, the assumption that Hillary Clinton was destined for the White House scared off a whole generation of senators and governors who would have been tested, built national profiles, and be ready to go for the brass ring on the night. But they didn't, because, you know, we all know what happens to people when they get in Hillary's way, right? Yeah, let's just make sure this camera stays on me, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's why it's curious to see Democrats drop a poll which suggested that Kamala Harris might beat Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is the choice of an increasing number of Republicans who have become disaffected from Donald Trump. Now, it is particularly interesting, too, that the media has been so receptive to these stories, because my understanding is that they are pretty upset that the White House has not led a more forceful fight on the issue of abortion after the Supreme Court handed down its Roe decision a week or so ago. But if we keep seeing these sorts of stories, it will go to the theory that the Democrats are looking to convince Joe Biden not only not to run again in 24, but possibly even to go before his term is up on health grounds to give Kamala Harris a clear run in 2024. But that's assuming he goes quietly, which doesn't seem likely given his snarling and snapping reaction to a reporter who asked him about the polls this week. Have a look.
Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again?
They want me to run.
2/3 say they don't.
Read the polls. Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same. That poll showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me.